I just wanna have peace. Pay for the bill, let them take my car, never see the receipt. Good health, we prize, but everybody around prosperity.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Livbtr podcast. This is your host, Jay Siano, and this is the show for people trying to optimize every area of their life. Let's go.
I just wanna have peace.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Livbtr podcast. I'm your host, Jay Siano. Today, we have Joey Angelo, one of my longtime buddies. We met in college, and we share a lot of similar life experiences. We both lost our mother after college, shortly after college, and we both were working corporate jobs right out of college and moonlighting in the nightlife industry, which is really how we became friends. So we talk a lot about Joey's businesses and optimization of all areas of life. I'm excited for you to take a listen and hope you get a lot of gems from it. Enjoy. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Livbtr podcast. I have a buddy of mine that I've known for a really long time with a vast background that I'm excited to dive into, Mr. Joey Angelo. What's up, Joey?
How are you, my brother?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Get my Monday on. It's okay.
That's it. So, we have to kind of start off talking about the fact that, like, I'm walking in the city last week with a client and just bump into somebody coming out of like a store or a deli or something, a cafe.
Food, eating as usual.
Eating as usual, and it was you, Joey. That was hysterical, and that's why you got to love New York City, right?
I mean, it happens 100 times a day. It's crazy.
Well, when you know as many people as you do, it literally happens 100 times a day.
Also guilty.
Yeah, right. Which is what I think one of my favorite things about you, and we share a lot of friends in common and so forth. But in the spirit of the Livbtr podcast, I want to talk about like what works for you in all things growth. But I want to start off with your career and your background. So if you could give the audience a little background on yourself.
Yeah, totally. Post college, when we knew each other then too.
Yeah.
Hit ourselves, but let's tell the truth. I actually went into the beverage business as a whole. I was bartending. I bought a part of a lounge that we opened in 2023. I was kind of doing both while still doing the full-time job to keep mom and dad happy, right, during the day.
Wait, what year was that?
This was 2002.
2002. Okay.
2002. Yep.
Wait, was that Calico Jack's or was that after?
You're absolutely yes. So I was bartending at Calico Jack's.
Yeah.
Two of the guys I met at Calico Jack's, I actually met a guy named Eddie Dean, who owned Pasha, now Shemansky's, and does the Gov Balls and all the big festivals and stuff like that. Him and I opened a place called the Tiki Room, which is like a tiki concept on 22nd Street, between 6. So I was kind of doing all. And that transitioned into more corporate beverage on the distributor side. Had an amazing career that I pretty much owe everything to be honest, Jay. That 15 years, I from day one, kind of grew myself to be the #1 writer in the company. Won the President's Award 12 consecutive years in a row, which is like their highest honor. And from there, I mean, it just went to, well, you know what happened next. So.
I do. I know exactly what. But we have to stop for a second because do you even realize that Calico Jack's is now a solid core?
No.
Is that crazy?
Crazy. It's nuts, man. So my first job out of college, like day one, me and Eugene Rem.
Yep.
With same job. One of our fraternity brothers, a little bit older, he got us a job at the History Channel. And we were sick.
Was that something that you were like aspiring to like be at the History Channel, or how does that happen?
Run out of the door and never come back is more like it.
Yeah.
It was a standard cubicle, no windows. I mean, it was, when I tell you, the worst 2 years of my life. So I had Eugene. He was like 2 cubes away, just to keep me sane. But we're sharing a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay. It was his plug. So he got the actual bedroom. I had to put up a wall. And every morning, 8 a.m., we take the subway together and, just went there. But it's all just admin work. I mean, stacks of papers, just Garbage, man. It was the worst. And right after that, I would run to Calico Jack's because I had to be there at 6 o'clock to bartend.
Yeah.
Man, I would close that place every single night. I did that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm talking getting out of there at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting home, sleeping for maybe 2 hours, back at the desk at 8, not 9, 8.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, I kept my bartending job at Hofstra. So I drove back to Long Island. But,
was that like, that was pre-Crabette's, right? Like, what was that place called?
yes.
It was
Yeah, that was
Crabette's.
Monterey's.
Monterey's. Okay. Wow.
Monterey's.
This is an awesome like trip down memory lane because,
Yeah.
I would just, and that's a good kind of segue because, I would just party several nights a week and obviously the weekends. And I also had to be at a desk at 8 a.m. And I remember literally getting home, showering, and getting to my desk.
Oh,
like
yeah.
so hungover, like still drunk, not even hungover.
When I transitioned, when I kind of put all that aside, the bartending and stuff like that, and went more corporate on the beverage distribution, we had Friday meetings. They call them GSMs, general sales meetings, and they were from 8 till 5, like classroom style.
Oh.
Basically, all the big suppliers would come and do their song and dance and yada yada. But we're 24, 25 years old, a bunch of young guys all starting in the industry together. Which a lot of that crew I came in with, gangster after gangster, man.
It's just obviously
organic, like awesome crew that we came in with $20 together, and like some just destroying. But we would go out all night Thursday and just literally go straight to that meeting, and like I got the sweats and grabbing the coffee. I'm like, that clammy, sweaty, awful feeling.
All too well.
We go through that, and then we go straight to the Hamptons.
Of course, yeah. And for the people listening who may not know who Eugene is, just give a quick background on Eugene.
Eugene is my best friend in the world, my day one, if you will. But Eugene owns Catch Hospitality Group. He was my freshman year roommate, just so happened. And then we moved to the city together. We had a couple apartments together. But yeah, best friend in the world. Talk to him all day. But he owns all the Catches.
And Rumble Boxing also, which you're a part of. Yeah.
I'm a investor of too. Yeah, that kind of started my, I guess wellness career. Obviously always into athletics and sports, in some kind. But that really kind of kicked off my entry into the wellness space.
Good. So before we dive into tequila and mezcal, I want to talk about your early mid-20s doing that crazy routine that we share. And
you know what that was, JJ? That was the grind before the grind, before we knew what a grind was.
That's right.
Guys like you and I built a little bit differently, and it's just, we were grinding, not even knowing we're grinding.
And it was more like, it was like a party grind, right? Like you were having a good time. And at that age, you could do that and not burn out. Like you could just literally be on 2 hours sleep and do it all over again.
At a very early age, we figured out how to monetize that hustle and be super aggressive but still 7:59, you're in that chair no matter what. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. No excuses.
That's the discipline, man. That's the discipline.
That's right. So from there, tell me about like how does your lifestyle change, from your mid-20s till now? You're very fit, you're super into working out, but kind of from that point, and were you back then, was like working out an important thing to you when you could squeeze it in?
It always was, but I gotta be honest, sports were never my thing. Not that I didn't play them, I was just never very good at them.
Yeah.
But weight training always was, to some degree. Always loved it, and I guess we'll kind of talk about how that fits into business and stuff later. But just that mental discipline when you're doing the same awful things that hurt so bad again and again and again. I mean, it's people that do that are built a little differently. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad, but it's it's kind of like torture that you obviously you take on yourself, but I think that mental and physical discipline of doing that same routine, I'm one of those guys, man. If you're doing that routine at the gym, then you're that kind of guy in business. You're that kind of guy in life. professionally, socially, friends, family. I mean, you have one brain,
Yeah.
and I think you could apply that to every aspect of your life. But to answer your question, I was always into working out. I really took it to another level. I guess in my late 30s. I don't want to say I was working out wrong, but I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know
Yeah.
the science of things. I didn't know. I didn't have that training IQ that I have now. So I really kind of took it to a different level.
And was that more when you took it to a different level? Was it, well, first off, before I go there, I completely agree. I think it's very telling, people who seek discomfort through, physical activity and things of that nature, I think are all just optimizing, all areas of life. Because if you put yourself through that, you're more capable, you have more resilience, you have more energy typically. And I think we're surrounded by a lot of people, especially in our age group that are, kicking ass, physically, which
Like
helps you mentally.
I feel like it wasn't always like that. Like, now, I don't want to say it's trendy, but kind of, there's
Yeah.
no Mazdas and influencers or people on that level when we came up, but it didn't
Not even
exist.
close. It didn't exist. Like you
And
couldn't really, and if somebody was heavy into something, they could only tell you in person, right? Like you didn't have Instagram. So
correct, or kind of explain what you do. But there was no, when I say I took it to another level, it's really, hiring people like a Jake, Zemer and stuff like that, learning from people that are best at, their craft. Brian Mazza, I learned so much from him, and just, just on that journey. But it wasn't as accessible when we were coming up at all.
So how did you and Brian meet? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Yeah, just through the city. I mean, he's another 15-year guy.
Yeah.
Birth, and then he had the clothing company and some of the suits, and just city friends. And he's also Westchester like myself, and I just always liked likable guy, and we hit it off, and that was really it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expected, but I've never actually asked you that specific question, but I'm not surprised. Hospitality, fitness, Westchester, like lots of synergies.
It wasn't if, it was when I meet Brian, right?
100%. So, all right. So listen, so as life goes on and you're kind of evolving in the spirits game, right? First off, I think if you're going to drink, there's only two things to drink. It's tequila and mezcal. So you're in the perfect space, right? So let's talk about the beginning of Viva. Like bring us through how you start that, how you come up with the idea, and a follow up to that. Was that your thought process with tequila at the time? Did it have anything to do with health?
Yes. Short answer. It was like, kind of very much, I think we took similar steps in different industries, but 15 years, I kind of made it to the tippity top, which, and then leave, which people thought lunatic, and like you kind of find it, it's like you should have left 15 years ago, buddy. But finally made it, and things are going great, and and I mean all the relationships, but I always just had this thing. I want to do my own. I always want to do my own. Selling other people's companies for 15 years. It's amazing. I love it. Certain things I love, certain things I don't love, certain things I think I could do better, certain things I can learn from. And I just had this thing, and I was getting close to the 40 point. And actually through Doug Jake, a very dear friend of mine, owns Invest and several SPACs, super successful guy. He introduced me to somebody in the space who's very like-minded and wanted to do something similar. And long story short, man, I left and I went for it. And it wound up being very, very successful. And I taught myself a ton. I was basically moonlighting, doing both for like 6 months, kind of getting acclimated, then ripped off the Band-Aid. And I mean, I went from an executive on a distributor level here in New York on a Friday to a CEO of my own company on a Monday, not really knowing what I'm doing.
Now, so when I did that, for me,
the Mexican government, I mean, freight, bringing shipments of glass from China. I mean, how do I know this? You know what I mean? It
crazy.
Was all thought and pretty crazy ride.
Yeah. So for me, I was just going to say, like when I decided to leave CBRE and start Sabre, I mean, I look back on it, and that was probably my unhealthiest point, because I was so stressed out, man. Like I was grinding and honestly drinking my way through. I also just had my first son at the same time. Like I was just, and looking back at that, I'm like, it was so chaotic. I don't know if I would do it again, right? Like, and the best part is you successfully exit Viva, and you're doing it again with SuCasa, which is the best. You're like
MARGS first, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about that. So, and also I want to hear about, like, just talk about Viva for a second. You get a little into it, because there was a philanthropy component to that.
First solo project, custom bottle. We did a Joven tequila. We had 3 marks. We had a Reposado. We had an extra añejo. We did things a little bit differently. We really tried to disrupt the space, but I hate using that word, but we were doing that organically before that was like a buzzword thing, disrupting, blah, blah, blah. Custom bottle, something people never saw before. Really branding was secondary. The bottle was covered in triangles, and that was essentially like our Nike swoosh, where the Viva logo was really tiny in the left-hand corner. We wanted the triangles to be the brand. That was the Starbucks. That was the Nike. Right? You see that swoosh, you don't have to see the word Nike.
Yeah.
And man, for 4 years, we just, really just hustled that brand. My entire life was New York to Los Angeles to Vegas to DC to Chicago to Florida, back to New York. I did that for just about 4 years. Got to almost 30,000 cases, and learned so much, man. We had really no employees. Had one office manager, and that's kind of it.
Well, listen, I know how you operate, and that's what I want to learn from you. Like, how can you keep that pace up for 4 years of grinding your face off? Like, what do you do? Tell me about that.
It was really tough, but I had a goal, and it was a different time, this is like 2017, 2018, but you need to get to a certain amount of sales in order to have the big boy conversations. And that was just my goal. I was tunnel vision, got to get to that amount. And to your point, it got to the amount. Jay, I couldn't sell another bottle. I mean, sure. That's when I started talking to, so some of the bigger suppliers and stuff like that. And got an investment banker and put together a really good program to kind of put this on the block. Not necessarily sell the entire company, maybe a 50-50, maybe a 70-30, but, get incorporated into their wheelhouse and get a marketing department, get salespeople, let's really scale the shit out of this.
You brought it as far as you could on your solo mission.
Totally.
But so tell me, but I'm curious, like, what's your daily routine like, and did it change at all, from then till now? Like, what do you do every day? What are the non-negotiable things that you do? How the hell are you able to travel like that and not get sick all the time?
Yeah, totally. I tell you, dude, I never get sick. I hate to say, like, I really don't. Maybe every 4 or 5 years I get a little cold.
Wow.
So first thing in the morning, I wake up at 6 o'clock a.m. every day. This is non-negotiable. Glass of warm water with pink salt, lemon. I put my creatine.
What pink salt? Like just
Himalayan pink salt.
Okay, nice.
And it basically is like nature's kind of pre-workout, if you will.
Yep.
Warm, empty stomach, get that down. Have a small breakfast at the gym at 7. Not 7:01, 7. Grab my coffee on the way, ready to go. 60 to 90 minutes of Joey time. I need that so badly. That's probably the only time I get by myself ever. And that really glides me through the day. I never get that like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I'm tired, I need a coffee kind of thing. Because my days don't end. It's meetings all day, admin stuff, Zooms, blah, 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 cool stuff like this here and there. But mostly just meetings and meetings and meetings. But then at night, I'm entertaining. Probably 5 nights a week.
Oh.
So listen, man, it's like, so when you say like, has your life changed from like your 20s, in certain areas, but that I still do that a lot. And it's a super important part of this business, any business, but it's also my superpower. So I love it. Right.
Of course.
But you're banging steaks every night and pastas and no bueno. Right. So more emphasis on, my macros, non-negotiable, gym non-negotiable, my cardio non-negotiable, but that helps me, being able to entertain and eating restaurant food 5 nights a week.
Tell me about, so you're at the gym. Is it 5 days a week, like weekdays, and you change it on the weekend, or is it?
I weight train 6 days,
Okay.
and on Sunday, walk on the treadmill just to get a little sweat. That's like my rest day, but an active rest day.
So if you're at the gym for 60 to 90 minutes, walk me through like what 60 and 90 looks like, and what cardio is, versus the weight training.
So this is kind of tying everything in together, like the whole basis of your podcast, which I love.
Yeah.
My secret is just my personal opinion. This is what I do in life, fitness, business. Simplify. People make things so complicated. My superpower is doing this, dude. I try to make it as easy as possible. So I do a full body routine. Well, first of all, I get to the gym. I do a incline treadmill on 15, around 2.5 to 3.0, 15, 20 minutes, nothing crazy, just to get warm. Okay.
Yeah, 15 inclines, no joke.
It is no joke. You're soaked. It's great. It's a real nice way to get warm. Also, while managing my calendar, flagged emails. So it's just enough, like you're not huffing and puffing, so you can kind of get your stuff done too. I wouldn't make any phone calls or do a podcast, but I can manage my calendar a little bit. So I do that, and then I get into a full body routine. So I do legs, chest, back, shoulders, thighs, tries. If I have time, a little ab work. So I do 4 sets of every body part. This is why I like it so much. So in order for muscle growth, you need about 15 sets per body part per week. This gives you 20. But also, if I'm doing 4 sets of legs as opposed to 16 or 20, I mean, I'm going for it. What can you do 4 sets of, right? Again, simplify. So I'm giving not 100%, I'm giving 500%. And I saw a huge difference in my physique once I changed it up from the, back and buys, chest and tries, which I did for years. Nothing wrong with that. But this is more, I think as we get older, kind of really an aesthetic heavy, disciplined workout. But you could just really give it your all. And then you blast through legs. Now I got a fresh chest, and my chest is fine. I didn't touch it. Blast through that. Give it my all, then back, so on and so forth. So you're really giving 500% of every single body part, and I do that 6 days a week.
You do. So is the full body routine the same every day, 6 days a week?
No, it really it changes. So like today was squats, maybe tomorrow's leg press. As long as it can really be anything, as long as it's a leg, a chest, a back, a shoulders, a buys, a tries.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting way to think about it, because I'm also, the way that you have to entertain at night is very different. I'm typically in fitness studios with people during the day, and oftentimes obligated to do a workout, or a class and things of that nature. And I'm realizing now, I'm 90% through an injury right now. And I'm realizing like I need to be way more disciplined and committed to doing my routine, and not just jumping into other people's workouts, like because I feel obligated to. And
for sure,
it takes me off my game.
Man, for years, I would really kind of leverage that a little bit, take clients, to a class, versus, eating and drinking all the time.
Well, especially with Rumble, right? Like you would do classes, I'm sure, a ton.
Great way to kind of, engage with people that doesn't involve, food or alcohol and stuff like that. And I would do it all the time. But to your point, it kind of does throw you off the routine. Like now it's like 11 a.m. and I'm like, now I got to shower. I'm already in the city. Like, it's like, it kind of took me out of my box. And I like being in my,
Yeah, no, which is interesting, because I think part of why you're so successful is you're just basically like checking the boxes all day, every fucking day. Like at a certain point, like success is inevitable, right?
I would hope, or I got it all wrong, but it's like follow up after follow up after it's like, I mean, it's insane. It's just, but yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way, man.
All right. Well, listen, your newest project is SuCasa, right? Which is on the heels of tequila, right? Mezcal. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. So, after successfully launched MARGS, the can margarita.
Oh yeah. Wait, how did I skip MARGS? Let's go back. Sorry. Let's go to MARGS.
After Viva, I mean, right after. I mean, this is you got to put your August 2020 COVID hat on.
Yeah.
Sitting by that pool out there like everybody else, pacing like a lunatic for the first time in my entire adult career. I had literally nothing to do.
Your deck on your pool definitely is not the same from those days pacing. Your pace is not like a normal pace. So this had to wear and tear on your deck.
Oh, yeah, right? So I guess it exited in 2020. And then, yeah, man, I got since the first time since like my paper route. I don't know, like kind of jobless, right? So, God, sitting around. I mean, this is when you're waiting online to go to the grocery store and to get toilet paper, right?
With like a full bodysuit on, like armor body.
Totally. So I guess I got into heavy alcohol consumption at home, like everybody else, right?
That's a fact.
And I got really into the RTD thing. Outside,
ready to drink for everybody who's listening. Ready to drink.
The high noons, if you will. But I'm a tequila guy, always was, just like you. So then I got into buying all the tequila ones. I like tequila, but never found one I like. And I want to say probably tried them all at that point, at least most of them. And I had that like aha, I think I could do this better moment. Jay really was like that. I mean, it's a couple of weeks after my deal was done. I'm like, you know what? He got together with a couple guys that I trust in the industry. I'm like, let's do this, man. It's like they're so extreme. They're like some are like that are like kind of seltzers, like a LaCroix, and then you have some that's literally a glass of sugar. I mean, like 50, 60 grams of sugar. Coca-Cola has like 30 to give you an idea.
Damn.
And like just in the middle of that's like sessionable. And they all use that aspartame, that fake like sweet and low kind of nasty ingredient for the sweetness and to keep the calories low. So hence MARGS was born. We trademarked the name MARGS, and it's a margarita. That was everything.
Perfect.
Built that company up, got into a great space where it still is now. It's rocking and rolling. It's doing super well, knock on wood. And launched SuCasa this past May, but working on it for a year, obviously, to get it ready. And here is this guy right here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The bottle's awesome. Like being through the journey with you, like just love watching.
Yeah, totally, man. Every step of the way, custom bottle. I don't know if you can see the bugs here, reminiscent of a water glass at a Mexican restaurant type thing. So with the mezcal, just kind of breeze through it quickly. Like we read so much in all the trades that mezcal is going like this, and it's double-digit growth and catching up to tequila. Yet I always found it odd that if you ask anybody outside the industry to name two mezcals, humada, nothing.
I can't even name two mezcals now. It's like
exactly my point. And you're a young guy who's out and about and in the scene.
Yeah, of course.
And if you ask people to name vodka, gin, rum, or anything else under the sun, they'll shoot your ear off. So I kind of did a deep dive on why that is. And my personal why is most of them are stock bottles. Most of them, heavy tattoo, skeleton, dark, death kind of vibes, like very day. Which mine is, the opposite. Mine's more namaste and that kind of vibe.
Which makes sense, by the way, because a lot of females drink mezcal. Like that was always, and as you were telling me you were doing this, I'd be out with my team and we have dinner and the women would be ordering mezcals, cocktails, and I was like, wow, Joey's onto something here. He's right.
It's you see it, and what I really noticed, again, being out and entertaining at night, you see people just like, oh, I'll have a mezcal, like no one's saying the name, and it's because they can't pronounce it, Jay. That's what a lot of these names,
and none of them are top of mind, right? Like obviously, this is a lot of marketing and branding is top of mind, right?
For sure. And I think mezcal as a category did a pretty poor job of that. Not every, just most. And a lot of them are pretty long Spanish names that are very difficult to pronounce for the average American consumer. So I trademarked the name SuCasa, staying true to the roots, but a name that, flows and really kind of falls off the tongue. And Mi Casa, SuCasa, play that game all day long. But to your point, with females getting into it and stuff, I noticed it as well. Typically mezcal is very smoky and aggressive. And I really brought that down working with my producer, almost about 14 months. So it's much more tropical, agave forward, more vegetal, very much more approachable, and more of what you love in tequila. So automatically triggers that, oh, I like this, and then the smoke kind of comes after. So more round, and it really made for a much more accessible product.
So it's interesting because I slowed down my alcohol consumption just as a result of doing 75 hard twice in 2022. And then since alcohol free in 2023 rhymed, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to test myself just
It's
because I
amazing.
love challenging myself. Right. So the funny part is I'm almost at the end of the year and I haven't tasted SuCasa for that reason. I haven't tasted anything.
Yeah.
Um, but I do want to talk about how the fitness industry as a whole has embraced tequila in a major way. And that's, how I started before I removed alcohol, I started to only drink tequila, and all the homies, Ann and I from Solid Core, like we would just
That's,
drink tequila, put an orange in it, like just, keep it simple.
definitely.
And it's funny because everywhere you turn, people are talking about like how tequila is healthier for you, whatever it is, and mezcal too, right? So I'm just curious to get your take on, and I'm sure there are ones that are better for you than others and whatnot, but kind of walk us through that, because I think a lot of people listening should know, what they should be drinking and what they are drinking, maybe with some popular brands that they think are healthy and so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
So it all comes down to the glycemic index, and that's really why kind of overnight it became the fitness cocktail.
Right.
Um, so I guess first and foremost, like for me again, who's out and about every night, and I mean it's calories and stuff. It's alcohol. You know what I mean? You really want to control what you can control. With the food, like listen, if I go out with a bunch of guys and we're going for steaks, like I'm not going to get a salad with a dressing on the side, but I'm also not going to have a 16-ounce T-bone to myself. You know what I mean? It's like get a lot of veg, have a couple pieces of steak. You got to just eat around it. Do the best you can, right?
Yep.
Same with alcohol. So mixed drinks, cocktails, and stuff. Yeah, I mean they're fun and all, but a lot of sugar, a lot of additives and stuff like that. Bad headache. Again, I'm an early bird, can't have it. So the tequila soda really kind of morphed into like that fitness drink, and even just rocks. Like I just get, I like to drink it on the rocks with that orange peel, like you said, and and you sip it. But it really, it's the sugar level, it's the glycemic index, and tequila and mezcal and all things agave have a very low glycemic index. So it is, if you are going to drink it, is hands down the healthiest option.
Yeah, for sure. And I always felt just cleaner, by
But
drinking
it
tequila and yeah.
also no hangover really. Like I never get a hangover. Obviously, consumption is one thing, but it's certainly the cleanest alternative for sure.
So out of curiosity, how would you say that your entire life, has evolved from your 20s, from actually college, like when we first met, till now? Like what would you share with people about just general life optimization and things specific to your success? Because you're surrounded by super high performing folks, and you're obviously a super high performing person. What could you share with the listeners just about overall
Yeah,
life optimization?
I can only speak for myself
Yeah.
and what, but again, simplify. I caught myself many times going really wide, especially as a day one entrepreneur. A lot of it has to do with money. Like you got to do it yourself. We're going to hire 100 people with what capital? So you're trained to kind of do it yourself. And I tell you, one time Eugene, again back to Eugene, he told me my mid 30s. He's like, you got to cut the shit with the admin stuff. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, your magic dust. I'm like, what are you saying? He's like, you know what your magic dust is. He's like, nobody's better than you in the game with people. And he's like, forget the Excel sheets. He's like, forget the admin stuff. He's like, you're doing so much of that stuff. I'm like, well, I have to. I don't have anybody to do it. He's like, figure it out. And
Yeah.
and that was a great kind of, and I knew he was one of those things that kind of click when someone says it. Obviously, I know that. I know what my superpower is. It's certainly not Excel spreadsheets and decks and financials and all that kind of stuff. It's actually probably the opposite, but important, and it needs to be done, right? But no matter what, and it's kind of easier said than done, but whether it's part-time, whether it's an assistant, whether maybe you pay them with a little bit of equity, you figure it out to unload it, right? And, in a nutshell, concentrate on your superpowers.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. That would be, I guess, the thing that clicked for me the most. Concentrate on your super. Everybody has them. Identify what it is and concentrate just on that. Would be what I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice. And I think you start to figure that out along the way. But if somebody can identify it and like drop it in your ear, especially Eugene, right? You're like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. It
know,
just makes sense. You know what I mean? And I knew he was right to begin with, and it just kind of all clicked. But it's everybody, that's what's great. Just about life in general, man. It's like that. That's why, like, I love being out and about. I love engaging with people from all different industries. It's like, it's organic for me. Like, I love it, Jay. Absolutely love it. I love talking to all different people from all different walks of life and connecting the dots and making intros. And it's just so natural for me. You know what I mean? So,
totally. Yeah. You're one of those people that like and I think we're very similar in that way. Like you take pride in like really introducing people and helping people. And that's pretty rare. Like not many people, it's very rare. And you're like happy to do it.
Why do you care? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know why I care, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's how you got where you are too, right? Like it's like,
No, I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Big time. And I feel like it's also an energy, right? Which is infectious. And I think, so much, again, as I get older, I realize, energy's really important. And if you have people around you that have either shitty energy or negative energy, or the shit's so contagious, like I just need to
awful
get away.
Yeah, it really is. And it seems so like organic and easy, but yet it's not. I mean, just be yourself, really. You know what I mean? It's like, but you're right. There is a lot of bad energy out there, and it's no bueno, man.
Talk to me before we jump. We got to dive into the tattoos. So when did you start getting tattooed, and what is your frequency, and what inspires you to get tattooed?
Man, great question. So I got this about 5 years ago. I don't know if you can see, but a lot of flowers and stuff's my mother's favorite flower.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my mother passed away when I was as soon as I graduated college.
Me too. We unfortunately we both belong to that club.
That's a very unfortunate club. And that's something she used to say to me in Italian, that in her handwriting. And these are her favorite flowers, and
that's awesome.
Pretty much the same exact sleeve on my right leg, so it matches exactly. I think I'm good. I spent enough hours bang and spent someone's college tuition already on ink. So, but I think I'm good. I like how it's like symmetry works. It's really just the same piece on my leg.
So, and was that done like in several different? How long did it take to do your sleeve?
Five or six, like 10, 12-hour sessions.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of.
And pretty much same for the leg. The leg, actually, I just finished up a couple weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you find tattooing, like getting tattooed, to be a little therapeutic? Like
Yeah.
Me too. I love that.
I got the zone out. I got my headphones in, and on my phone a little bit, but just the sound and kind of. I do, and it doesn't hurt like people think. It's more annoying than anything.
Yeah, I mean, once you get under that armpit there, it's not fun. Let's be real.
How about the shin?
I don't have leg tattoos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was just last week, but when I tell you, you could hear it on the bone. I mean, you hear the vibration of the gun on the bone, and it's like my whole leg was done, so it was hours and hours of that.
Ooh, yeah, there are parts that are definitely painful for sure. Yeah. And then you just brought up something obviously that we share that was a tremendous effect on me and my mental health. Losing my mom and trying to keep everything together, and
especially at like 21, man, where you're just like discovering yourself. Like it was like I just graduated, you know what I mean? I just moved to the city with my best friend. I just got my first job, like all those things like you want to share, and then it just.
I knew that, but like I didn't realize that we literally, like, while we were going through the same grind, the days in the office and then the nights out, and then both kind of dealing with that loss, that tragedy.
Yeah.
it was a rough time for me for sure.
Wrecked my whole life.
Yeah.
Wrecked my
Yeah.
whole life. And I'll tell you what, like, not to, hopefully it doesn't sound dark, but it
Dark's
doesn't.
okay. I mean, now that you're in the light, dark's okay, right?
Well, it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
People think all the time like that's not true. And you don't ever want to do that. Time doesn't make things better. Time makes you forget, and that's awful. You never want to forget. You know what I mean? That's why this is her handwriting, her flowers, her favorite. Like you never want to forget. You know what I mean? So, but it doesn't get better. It does not.
I would agree with you. It never gets better, and at every stage of life, it gets a little bit. And I agree with you. I feel like I don't do enough to keep her memory front and center, as opposed to like
human nature. Busy, you have your own life, you have your own kids now, and we're going 50,000 miles an hour. It's like, but it's really like I really try to, certain dishes she used to make. I try to make those like every month at least, like whether I enjoy them or not. Like they were,
well, good for you, man. You're doing better than me. I'm not even attempting those things. So you should be really proud of yourself.
That's very therapeutic for me. Cooking, I love it.
Yeah. That's that I could understand that. I should probably try something like that.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
Well, Joey, this has been
good.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I mean, life is it's about trying to find things that just make you feel good, right? And I think, doing that, I think that difficult routine that you mentioned, like makes you feel accomplished and confident and, overall feel good. Like
it does.
Difficult things, easy times, easy things, difficult times. Like there is something to that.
First thing in the morning, now, you got more self-respect, you got more confidence. First, you already achieved that. I mean, all those hurdles you're going to go through the rest of the day, you just drive right through it. But it's, I think, it's even more important for this.
Well, I love you, brother. This has been a great conversation. Where can everyone find you? Tell people where to find you on Instagram.
Absolutely. Instagram. So the two brands are at sipMARGS and at SuCasa Mezcal. You can see those at Instagram pages. The website is SuCasaMezcal.com, and the website for MARGS is sipMARGS.com. You could buy them online, check them out, see what we're all about, the vibe, all that good stuff.
Awesome, brother. Keep crushing life and great catching up.
Likewise, brother. Be good.
Peace.